Okay guys, today I'm going to try and explain how to write your creative arts activity plan. Usually in class I would have you do a couple different art and music activities and that would help you get this started, but I can't do that. And so I'm going to try to just get your mind going so that you can do this. And this is just a sample activity plan. This is just your first practice, and then later on you'll actually write your own. So first, okay, this paper is in your packet, right? If you go back to the very end after your book evaluations, you're gonna find your creative arts activity plan. So this is your first one, and I start with this one because it's an easy one to find in your book. Now, if you didn't get one of these, I'm going to link the PDF for it, and I'll always tell you what page to find it on, but it is better to be hands-on. So I had 18 of them, and they're all gone. Hopefully those of you that have them are using them. Okay, so what we're going to start off with is you may need to do a bubble brainstorm map again. If you can't think of activities to do, start off with, in the center of your bubble map, write music or art or something like that, and then create that map to give you some ideas. From that map, that's where you can get all of your different words, all these things that come up with that. So mine that I wanted to do for you for your example, I'm going to call it the musical parade or marching band or something like that. All right, but right up here again is where we're going to start. So do a bunch of vocabulary words that may have come up during your bubble brainstorm map, whatever. Okay, and now here is where we're going to start using the book. Okay, so this is for creative arts. Sorry, I'm doing the best I can in my bed in my room. Okay, so we are using our creative arts. So that means in our book, and again, the front cover looks like this. Right, in your book, we're going to go to the creative arts section, which starts off on page 90. Let me get there just so you can see it. All right, so we're starting off on page 90. Now, on page 90, it shows you we're talking about creative arts. We have components, and in this one, we only have one component. So everybody's going to use this same component. We're going to go from there. Now, you can read all this, but this is pretty much all we talked about in the last 2 days when we talked about visual art, and we talked about creative art, and we talked about musical expression. So all of that is explained right here. Okay, and now we're going to go again, and we only have one component to go through, so that makes it easy for us this round. Now, on this side, right, we're going to do creative arts, component A, standard 1. Now this side is standards, and we're always going to focus on the preschool section. We don't need to do these ones. That's not our job. We're looking at preschool. Okay. On this side, we're looking at strategies. So these are activities to help us do this. So we'll look at these after we look at this one. So let's stay here. So in this one, read through and get some ideas of what we're going to be able to accomplish through artwork of these. Okay, I read through this and I had already had an idea of marching band. So when I looked through this, I'm like, look, right there, experiment with musical instruments. Perfect. That's what a marching band is doing in my mind. Right, so I know I'm going to do standard 1, and I'm going to choose B here. But notice there's multiple B's. That's why we have to write this one out. So have in mind that that's the one that you're doing. Now you're going to come over to this side, and I'm going to look through this and try to find one that fits, right? Experiment with musical instruments. And, right there, that top one right there says provide a variety of toys and musical materials to encourage children to create their own music. Rhythm instruments, string wrapped around cardboard, recorders, etc. So, right, good thing to know also is we have a bucket of instruments at the school, so I really could do this. It works. So then I come back over here. Okay. So here's where I'm going to lay out my book. I have my assignment right here, and I'm going to go back and forth. So, starting here, and it gives you, again, a little bit of a map. I'm sorry, guys. I hope this better. It gives me a little bit of a map. So right here, my learning objective. In the space below, we're in objective for each activity that defines the expectations for a specific observable outcome. What I want the children to be able to do. So my content learning area for this one is going to be creative arts. It tells me up top. Okay, component letters. I only have one to choose from, so it's going to be A. Then I look at my standard. Again, I only have one for this one, so everyone's going to write a number 1 there. Then my foundation standard, what I want them to do. I'm going to take exactly what was written here, experiment with musical instruments, and I'm going to write that word for word right there, experiment with musical instruments. Then, right, my measurement strategy here, right, that's where I look again over to my strategies, and I am doing this one. I'm going to write word for word over here. Okay, so I provide a variety, right, of musical toys, whatever, to make their own music. Now right here, right, as they, when they, by, through, that's why I changed this to providing a variety. So when I read this, it will read something like this. Okay, it will say learning objective, right? The children learning objective, creative arts, component A. The children will experiment with musical instruments by providing a variety of toys and materials to encourage children to create their own music. Right? That is how that would read. That is an objective. That is how the school will see what you're doing, and your boss, or your principal, whoever, would be like, A+, you win, woohoo. Okay, then from there, I start to write out what I'm doing. Now, we talked about transitions the other day. So you're going to pick a transition that will help you be able to build this activity. For mine, I'm going to, while the children are at their centers, is this going to be a large group activity in my mind, I'm going to lay out all the instruments. Then I'm going to ask the students to buckle and bubble. That means fold your arms and hold your bubble in your mouth so you're not talking. And they're going to stand on the other side of the room. Then I'm going to call specific students who are following expectations up to choose an instrument. Okay, for this one, I need to know exactly what you needed for yours. Okay, and then again, open-ended created or activity center name is just musical parade. Right, that's what I'm going to call it. I'm the head teacher, but you are the head teacher, so that's where your name goes. And then identify if it's fine motor skills or gross motor skills. For this one, I'm going to say gross because we're going on a march. And so I expect big movements from my students. And now this one, I've tried to highlight which kind of category you're in. See, all math and science and that are small, and this one's big. So I want you to choose which one it is. For mine, it can fit into either, but it's more of a music and movement. Okay, and then my materials needed. I'm going to list all of my materials, the drums, the egg shakers, boom whackers, tambourines. I wrote down flutes and recorders, but then I started thinking about it, and after I started writing what I wanted them to do, I think maybe that's not very sanitary. So I'm going to choose just ones that they're going to use their hands and bodies with and not their mouth. So that's why I took that one out. And then for me, I'm going to have a wand as the leader so that they know where to follow and they know what to do. And I can even show rhythm if I have the wand. Okay, now my process. Describe in detail the activity that you want to do with the kids. So I put in detail what I want them to do, and I'll let you guys kind of read it. And I'm going to explain every step in the way. Now, I'm going to do this for a large group activity, so it's going to take me some time. So I'm going to allot that about every 2 minutes, they're going to switch instruments with somebody else. That also fits in here to give them a variety of material. So that's a great way to make it dap and not dip. Okay, so every about 2 minutes, I'm going to stop and they're going to change instruments with somebody. Maybe I'll say, pass down 2 people, or pass up 2 people, or find somebody to change with. Right, and then as we walk back into the class, the bucket of where their instruments came from will be right at the door. So when they walk in, they put it away. And that is my second transition. Right? My rationale tells me why this fits in with this, why my activity fits in here. And then right here, explain why it's DAP. What helps it be DAP, right? Think of Miss Trunchbull versus Miss Honey. You want Miss Honey. How can you make your activity better? And again, you should be thinking of DAP before you even write this. Is it your best effort? Now, ways that you're going to lose points here is if these two aren't explained very well, right? If your transition doesn't go with what you're doing or doesn't make sense, and if your activity isn't well explained, right, I'm going to have some problems with that. I will try to comment on everybody's as they turn it in. But again, this is just your practice round. You will have to do ones later on your own without this practice round. So this one's just your first try. Let's see how it goes. We're going to write one for each grouping that we do. So today's just your first one. If you have questions, please write to me. Please ask me. And I'll try and get to you as best I can. Good luck.